Hey guys, it's me, Pigment. I'm back, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the top 5 most forgettable characters in Marvel Strike Force. This is going to be more a lighthearted video, sort of poking fun at the fact of some characters that have been needing reworks for a while. So long, actually. Some of these characters, since their release, they've been garbage, and people just forget about them because they're so bad. So I'm going to talk about these characters today who, people forget in this game because nobody uses them on teams. And while I talk about them, I'll probably also talk about some of my ideas for teams they could go on and ways to sort of rework them to have a little bit more relevance. Now I have 2 honorary mentions, and by 2 I mean 2 factions. If we take a look at the bottom of my roster here, we have the Ravagers and we have the Hand. Both Ravagers and Hand, really forgettable. The reason why they're not the most forgettable is because they're a whole faction. You can run them as a blitz team and they can take you down a couple tiers, and since there's like 6 of them for the Hand and there's like 4 for the Ravagers, I'm counting Yondu and the Ravagers, it's harder to forget them because there's so many of them. So they're absolute garbage, and they've needed a rework pretty much since their released, but they're just bad. Both of those teams are so bad, and I'd say I forget about the Ravagers more than I forget about the Hand, but I don't want to include a full faction on this list. I want to talk about specific characters. Alright, so I'm going to start out with a controversial pick right here, Psylocke. So some people put Psylocke on the team instead of Wolverine. The reason why I put Wolverine on the team is because I think Wolverine performs better. Like, there's a significant difference from Wolverine with the X-Men to Wolverine on his own. I think Psylocke with the X-Men and Psylocke on her own, they're somewhat the same. So I'd rather just put Psylocke on some other team. She's more plug and play. The problem is she's not good. Well, she's not bad, but she doesn't bring anything that great to the team. So nobody really uses her as a plug and play character. But I just forget Psylocke's here, which is a shame because a lot of cool effects on Psylocke. Her skills, just in general, are very visually appealing. So I'd like to see her get used more in this game. I really thought she was going to go on the X-Force team. Unfortunately, they have not given her the X-Force tag, so she cannot go on the X-Force team. I was thinking maybe she could go on the new X-Men team. Doesn't look like she's getting put on that team. So I guess there's always next time. Maybe she'll get on the next X-Men team with like Nightcrawler and Spike and Professor X, maybe some other X-Men. So I'm sure she'll find a spot eventually, and I think she's just going to get on some X-Men team, but I guess she's just going to wait even longer. Luckily, I think she'll have a bit of a role in the game. You're probably going to have this X-Men team built. We're going to have Beast, Bishop, Iceman, and Kitty Pryde. A lot of people probably going to miss Jubilee the first time she comes around. I think Psylocke will be an excellent 5th member for that team until Jubilee, we unlock Jubilee. So that's what I think. Psylocke, she's gonna have a little bit of time to shine, for me at least, because I'll need a 5th member, and she's an X-Men, so she'll fit well on that team. Although of course she's uncanny X-Men, not astonishing X-Men, so she doesn't really work with that team because of the silly astonishing uncanny divide. Next up, another controversial pick right here, Mantis. I forget Mantis is in this game all the time because Mantis is, okay, so here's my perspective. I started this game, I was a day 1 player. I built up the original Guardians with Gamora. Then Mantis comes out. I'm like, why would I build up Mantis when I have Gamora already? She sort of was meant to work in like raids a little bit. She has some healing and right here in raids, but the Guardians were never really good enough to perform in raids, so Mantis didn't boost them far enough ahead. They already had a healer with Groot, sort of. I never really connected with Mantis. I know some people put Mantis on the team. If you're a brand new player, it kind of makes sense to put Mantis on the team and then put Gamora. She's a little more plug and play, kind of like Psylocke. You can put Gamora on a Brawlers team. But since I already had the Guardians of the Galaxy team built up, I just never really built up Mantis. Now, as you can see, my Mantis is a somewhat high level. That's because she did come out relatively early into the game, so I had a little more excess resources back in the day, so I did invest a little bit into Mantis just so she can be there. But I just never found her all that great of a character. I don't think she does enough. The team that she's meant to heal isn't that great, so I think because of that, Mantis really suffers in my eyes. Now, what can we do with Mantis? I'd really like to see another space team come out in this game. We have Nova, Darkhawk, I think Nighthawk, one of those two. We have Champion. There's a ton of cool cosmic characters, and I think Mantis could fit well on that team. So I think that's what we could hope to happen for Mantis in the future. Next up, for most forgettable characters, we have Night Nurse. Now, Night Nurse, she did have a bit of a time to shine in the original launch of the game. People used her in raids very quickly. Any other healer came out and they were better than Night Nurse. Minerva's better, Ebony Maw's better. Pretty much Red Guardian's a better healer than Night Nurse is. She's just really bad. She needs a rework. Pretty much every single part of her kit needs a boost. Like, that's not that great. That healing, not that great. This healing, not that great. Her passive, not that great. 15% chance to heal them. Oh my gosh, at most it's like what, like a 30% chance to heal? I mean, she's really bad. She's not a good character. She really got power crept by like everyone. I wouldn't even say power crept. I just think other healers did what they were supposed to do. I think Night Nurse is just so bad that she never reached the level of what a healer should be. Now, what can we do about Night Nurse? I'd really like it if she got reworked to put on the Defenders team. I think it'd be kind of cool if the Defenders had a double healer set up with Night Nurse and Iron Fist, a ton of sustainability. You know, if they boosted Night Nurse significantly and maybe boost Iron Fist's healing a little bit, I think that'd be really cool if you had this team with that sort of their gimmick. They just, you know, they can just keep going. They have these two healers that just sustain them, and then it leaves room for counterplay, because if you can heal block, you know, you shut down the Defenders. I don't know. I think that'd be a really interesting gimmick. Night Nurse, she was in the Defenders TV show. She was a big part of that universe right there. She never really reached this level of Night Nurse. She was always just sort of, she's like, oh, you're a little hurt, I'll bandage you up. She was never like in the battle actually healing them really. But she kind of works with the Defenders. That's canonically where she goes in my mind. I kind of think White Tiger, they might be setting White Tiger up to go on that team. White Tiger might go Young Avengers. I really hope she goes Young Avengers, and then Night Nurse gets reworked to go with the Defenders team, because I don't know, she's sitting right here. Why don't we fix her? We have the solution right here to fix the Defender. So I'd love to see a rework to go on the Defenders team. Maybe, you know, let's boost Night Nurse up to what she once was, you know, just crazy healing, the best healer in the game. Wouldn't that be great if Night Nurse, I mean, look at this. I didn't even level up her skills to 5. They were so bad. I completely forgot about her. Next up, for my most forgettable character, I have Green Goblin. So you might say, why Green Goblin? Well, when you put Dr. Octopus on the Sinister Six team, you automatically put Swarm and Electro with them. That's just how it goes. They work best with Dr. Octopus. And then you boot out 3 characters. You're definitely going to boot out Green Goblin and Shocker. Likely you'll boot out Vulture. Some people like Vulture more than Rhino. I think most people pick Rhino over Vulture, but you know, at least Vulture has that going for it. Sometimes people will pick Vulture over Rhino, and Shocker, he's not that forgettable because Dr. Octopus summons in Shocker, so you would not forget about Shocker. Green Goblin gets nothing. Green Goblin is absolute, well, he just got forgotten. He really doesn't, he didn't fit in with the rest of the team. As you can see, he was a special. He was a little archaic. He came up before the rest of the Sinister Six team, and he had shield, kind of shield countering right here. It was never really enough that he actually countered the shield team, but he just kind of had that because shield was meta at the time. And then the rest of the Sinister Six came out, and they were set to be a defender's counter. And as we could see, he didn't really ever get that defender's counter. They never reworked Green Goblin to work with that. He's always sort of the odd man out. His kit just didn't fit with the team. I think his effects are cool. He's grown on me. His look, I thought it was kind of ugly. It was like a mix of 2 Green Goblins, but it's kind of grown on me. I like this Green Goblin look, but unfortunately his kit never matched up with the old Sinister Six, and he's definitely the first one you boot from the new Sinister Six. What can they do for Green Goblin? I think it's only a matter of time before more Sinister Six members come to the game. You know, we have Scorpion, we have Kraven, you have Sandman. I mean, Spider-Man has an incredible rogues gallery. You know, they could do 3 or 4 teams of Spider-Man villains. So there's only a matter of time before more Spider-Man villains come out, and either they boot out Rhino and Mysterio from the new Sinister Six team, and then you go back to this original 5, or I think even better, you know, you take Green Goblin, Shocker, and Vulture, and they release 2 new Sinister Six members that are pretty decent and are meant to go with the Green Goblin and Shocker in them, and then you have 2 competent Sinister Six teams or something like that, or they could just go like a Spider-Man Rogues Gallery or something. I think that's what we can hope for a Green Goblin. It's sort of similar to Psylocke, where it's only a matter of time before more of the type of characters he's meant to work with comes out, and then he will have a team to go with them. Now, the most forgettable character in this game, in my opinion, is Nebula. I have a lot of characters at Gear Tier 9, most of them at Gear Tier 9. I never even took her up to Gear Tier 6. Nebula is so forgettable. But she's always been bad. She's just, her kit, nothing really going on here. Like, she gets a speed up for 1 turn, doesn't really deal that much damage right here. She gets to gain counter, doesn't matter. She's probably not going to survive that. For her ultimate right here, she'll gain like 2 evade or something like that. Like, what's it matter? She's just going to die the first time she gets hit. After that, look right here, this goes up to a 15% chance to assist with an ally attacks, and you can upgrade this to have a 15% chance to revive on death with 10% of max health. Nebula's kit is really bad. In terms of how they can rework Nebula, some people want to give her synergy with Gamora. I don't like that because I want to keep the Guardians of the Galaxy team: Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. I think it's meant to be those 5. You know, they're the original 5. So I don't really want Nebula to take the spot on there. I think the most common thought is similar to, you know, why don't we fix Defenders with Night Nurse already in the game? Why don't we fix Ravagers with Nebula? Just put Nebula on the Ravagers team. The only problem with that, canonically, not much connection there with Nebula and the Ravagers. I mean, we had looser ties like Emma Frost and the rest of the X-Men villains. Like, I don't know, at least Emma Frost could kind of work with them sometimes. It's a bit of a stretch with Nebula. That's the problem. Nebula, like, she just doesn't really belong with anyone. Maybe they could just rework her kit so she's so great that she's just plug and play for a bunch of teams or something like that. I don't know, Nebula's always kind of been a lone wolf. She's never really worked on any teams really that much in the Marvel Universe. She's kind of always like, I don't like people, I work on my own. So Nebula's a bit of a tricky one, I think. But those are the two most common thoughts: either rework her to work with Gamora, or rework her to go on the Ravagers team. If I had to pick, I'd like her to go on the Ravagers team. But I don't know, maybe what they could do is when they introduce the new set of cosmic characters that maybe Mantis could work with, perhaps Nebula could go on that team too, or they could introduce more cosmic villains and Nebula could go on that team. There's a ton of cosmic villains you could introduce, like Anti-Man. Anti-Man's kind of way stronger than Nebula, but there's a ton of cosmic characters that could eventually come to this game that I think you could, like, yeah, Nebula works with them. But I think, in my opinion, the best thing that could happen to Nebula is just make her so great, plug and play, solo character you can put on any team. But let me know down below what your most forgotten character is in Marvel Strike Force, because, you know, I always like to hear what you guys have to think, because at the end of the day, what do I really know? I am only a 19-year-old. I hope everyone can have a happy and healthy day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Sign off, everyone.